Hello and welcome to InSight. I'm Wendy Brokaw.
And I'm Mary Louise Van Atta.
You know, a nonprofit that lasts 1 year is considered pretty good success. How about going into your 8th year? That's a wow. We have with us members of the Board of Directors and the founder of the Salem Progressive Film Series. It's a long-running film series, and we can't wait to find out what it is that has made that such a successful series. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having us. Can you introduce yourselves? So I'm Cindy Kimball.
And I'm Brian Hart.
And I'm Shannon, Cockayne.
And just for the record, you two are members of the board, and you, Cindy, are the founder.
Yes, but I'm a member of the board too.
Well,
wow.
I have to ask you this. I know. I've known you a long time.
Yes.
And this started as a dream of yours. Tell me
Yes.
about it.
Well, it started in 2007 when a situation was happening near my neighborhood, and I had to go out and canvass and knock on doors and inspire people to get out and become active. And I realized from that people will become active if you have a topic that affects them and you give them ways, suggestions to become active. And so working with the theater owners, Carol Smith and Eric Kittleson of the Grand Theater, and this great Brian Hart and Shannon Cockayne, we've created a film series that has lasted 8 years, going on our 9th year.
One of the things that makes it so interesting to me is that they have guest speakers. So you don't just watch a film, you don't just watch a documentary, there's something happens afterwards. Brian, what happens?
So after the film, we have 2 to 3 speakers and have a Q&A session. So they'll talk about the film. First they do a little intro. They talk about their thoughts of the film, anything to add, maybe even something that they have a difference of opinion about, but most of the time it's adding value to the film and adding their thoughts. They're usually an expert in the field that has something to do with the film, and then we open up to a Q&A for the audience. So that gives them a chance to ask questions, so it's more than just a film. They can follow up and say, what can I do? How does this apply to me? And what can I do to make my community better?
Shannon, does that work for you? Is that an idea that inspires you, that whole format?
Absolutely, because I think there's so many issues out there that the media doesn't really give enough context or depth to. So these documentaries give that context, and then the speakers kind of bring it to life.
One of the movies that I saw at was in May of 2008, and it was called Uncounted, The New Math of American Elections. And on that program was the actual producer of the documentary film, David Earnhardt, and he came all the way out from Kentucky to be part of that Q&A, and joining him to talk about uncounted ballots was Bill Burgess with the Marion County Elections Department. My gosh, that is the way to get people to ask questions of the people who are directly involved.
Yeah.
And that film had to do with just after the elections, when they had the voter fraud, and we had problems with the voting machines, and so that's what that film was all about. Yeah.
Have you ever had a video or a documentary that just packed the house? Give me an example, one that really caught a ear.
Chasing Ice, which was about climate change and the glaciers melting. It's those films that really resonate with you on a physical level. Either it's something going in your body, food, like OMG GMO, or things that affect you from the environment. We all have to go out into the environment, so we're obviously affected by it. So those movies seem to speak to most people.
It seems like also you're providing, well, I guess in the time of where we're watching lots of movies on our phone or movies on a tablet, is providing a social experience for people, maybe bringing them back into the theaters in a way where they can not only watch a movie but talk about it later. Are you finding that that's really something that people are looking for?
Kind of our mission too, is to raise awareness by showing these films, but then we have action steps and we have things to do after the film. So we want the conversation to keep going. We want things to happen. It's not just a one-night experience.
And what are some of the ways you encourage people in that? What do you provide them at the theater?
Everybody that walks through the door gets a resource sheet, and the resource sheet has information about the speakers, about the film. It has websites for further information so they can go home and do some research. It has action steps such as getting on the website of the film and taking action as to whether signing something about climate change or writing their legislators, writing their city councilors, getting action, some way getting active, not just going home. And we're really fortunate to have Life Source Natural Foods in the theater afterwards in the lobby, and they provide food and snacks, and so everybody mingles together and they talk and they network and they can become friends and talk about ways to become active. So.
You are also one of the founders of the nonprofit, the local TEDx Salem. And so did you get some inspiration for that from what you saw in your role with the Salem Progressive Film Series? Because there is, I sense, a core of people who would show up for these kinds of things.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously kind of big ideas and stories, and sharing stories in a connected community is very important to me. So they all kind of intermingle with things that I'm doing. So the film series is a big part, TEDx Salem is a big part of it. I just started a radio show, StoryCorps Salem. It's about sharing stories. So it's, to me, it's a common thread about how it connects us as a community, you know, and how we're all in this together. And we, you know.
I got a little bit of a trailer for the
cool.
Merchants of Doubt, and we're going to be seeing that. And then afterwards, we're going to talk about why was this documentary chosen, and what was the thinking, and what do you want with that to be as an outcome. Let's go take a look at that little trailer.
Yeah, great.
Communication is about sales. Keep it simple. People will fill in the blank with their own, I hate to say biases, but with their own perspective in many cases.
The tobacco companies knew nicotine was an addictive drug, yet they told Congress,
I believe nicotine is not addictive.
You see the same small group of people that the tobacco industry used, working on all kinds of other issues.
Dioxins, pesticides, chemicals in general. I mean, there's no evidence that these are harming us.
Scientists will explain the science. Against the scientists, they will have a so-called expert.
A 7-week-old baby was in a crib.
I literally heard a gasp when he told the story about this baby.
Either one of you paid to testify for your time here in opposition to the bill?
Citizens for Fire Safety.
Citizens for Fire Safety, the 3 largest makers of flame retardants in the world.
Some of these so-called experts turn out to be very, very good at it.
I'm not a scientist, although I do play one on TV occasionally. Okay, hell, more than occasionally.
It creates a whole new cast of characters, these people who become well known for casting doubt on global warming.
Catastrophic global warming is a hoax.
There's no scientific consensus.
You go up against a scientist, most of them are very hard to understand and very boring.
It's all about preventing you from looking where the action really is, which is in the science.
The Earth is getting warmer, no question about it.
Bold-faced
It's kind of an amazing accomplishment. Such a small group of people have had an enormous impact on public opinion.
We're the negative force. We're just trying to stop stuff.
You won't fool me anymore. And the change is gonna come, and we will see the light.
Well, that's inspiring.
Wow.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about the process you went into for choosing this film.
So we get together and we sit down at a table and talk about what's going on in the world now, what's going on in our community, what's important. We can't always address issues that are going on around the world that people can't take action steps towards.
Right.
So famine in Africa we can't really do anything about, but we can do something about being addicted to plastic and maybe eliminating the use of plastic, or maybe not drinking bottled water. So we can do things like that. So that's, we sit around at a table and we discuss the things that we feel are important in the world right now, and then we decide on the films. And this particular film was one that Brian had already seen.
Yeah, and we also, a couple people emailed us about it, a couple of our attendees, and a former board member, Don Fries, also told us about it. So it's like when you start hearing about it from all different places, it's like something's going on here. So we knew that it was going to be one that would resonate with people.
Could you please tell us where people see this, how often, and what is your season like? Tell us, it runs from when to when?
Runs from September to May. And we're at the Grand Theater on High Street, 7 o'clock The third Tuesday of every month, September
Wait a
through
minute.
May.
You said the third Tuesday every month?
The third Tuesday of every
It's
month.
we have a new date.
Right.
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 For 8 years, we were on the second Thursday, and the new owners of the theater have some grand plans, and so we moved to the third Tuesday.
That's right.
It's hard.
I know.
It's hard.
It's hard. We're all creatures of habit here, but I understand they're very
Tuesday.
happy with having you
Yeah,
in the
they're
building.
so great.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
absolutely
That's
wonderful.
wonderful. So if folks in our audience want to hear more about the program or how to get involved or how to watch them, how can they find you?
Go for it.
So our website is www.salemprogressivefilms.net. Our email is salemprogressivefilmseries@gmail.com. The address of the Grand Theater is 191 High Street.
We're on Facebook.
We're on Facebook.
We're on Twitter.
You can like us. Yeah.
And there's lots of ways to find you.
Yes.
So people can see great films
Yes.
for which they can be inspired and take action, right?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, thank you.
Well, I'm very glad you were able to join us. I've wanted for a long time to talk to you so that you could tell us just what the thinking is behind this great success story.
Yes.
Thank you
I
for
appreciate
having
it.
us.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
really
you.
appreciate it.
Thanks for promoting us.
And thank you for joining us today on InSight.
And we'll see you next time.